If you are working on a project, thesis or report in Microsoft Word, this video will show you how to create an automatic table of contents that looks professional and updates automatically. In the video, I'll also intentionally make a mistake to show you how you can deal with a mistake if you are making this table of contents. Also, I will intentionally skip a heading that is supposed to be part of the table of contents and go back and do it and update the table of contents for you to see how it updates automatically. So let's get started. To do this, we need to highlight all the headings that we would like to include in our table of contents. And to be able to highlight all the headings after your first highlighting, you now put your hand on the control key, one hand on your control key. Never remove it until you finish highlighting all the headings that you want. So I'm putting one hand on the control key and I'll highlight the rest of the headings. One way to highlight the heading is you can bring your cursor close to the heading and right click. Or another way to highlight the rest of the headings is to do the normal highlighting by putting your cursor and dragging to highlight the topic. So I'm going to continue and highlight the rest of the headings that I would like to include in the table of contents. So I'm moving to the next one. And don't forget to still keep your hand on the control key whilst you highlight the rest of the headings. So here is where I'm going to intentionally make a mistake and show you how we can delete that from the table of contents. So I'll highlight this heading, and after that I'll intentionally highlight the next sentence in addition, which sometimes happens if you are creating or highlighting for table of contents. So you see that I've highlighted the sentence in addition, and we'll take note of this after we create a table of contents. So moving forward, I'm going to highlight the rest of the header. So after highlighting this next one, I'm going to intentionally skip the next one, which on my document is 1.7, and go straight and highlight 1.8, so that we'll come back to 1.7 later and do it and update the table. So I'll highlight this 1.8 and the last one. Now that we are done highlighting, we can now release our hand from the control key. But be careful not to click in the document, if not all that you have highlighted will be unhighlighted. By the way, just a reminder, ensure that your Word document is on the home page. So the next thing to do after highlighting is to choose the style that we want. And so under the stars, I'm going to select heading 2 as a preferred one. And here you can see that after selecting the heading 2, the color of my headings will change. If you are someone who does table of content all the time, then of course you can edit the heading that you use all the time in doing your table of content, so that when you select it, it wouldn't give you a different font color and what have you. So now that mine has given me a different color and font, if yours is the same, you now go and change them to the wording of your document. So the next thing to do is I'll click on the font and I'll select Times New Roman, because that's what I'm using throughout my work. You select what you're also using, and then under the font size, I'll select 12. After that, I'll go to the color the font color and select black. And the next thing to do is to bold it. So click on bold. And then we come to the line and paragraph spacing. And here I'll select 2 because that's the spacing I've been using throughout the week. So if yours is 1.5, whatever spacing you are using, remember to select your spacing. So after selecting the spacing, I would like to create the table of contents at the top before the work starts. So I'm going to scroll up to the top. And here I can let go of my highlighting now. So I'm going to click in the work. And I want to create the table of contents before the work. So the little space above the work, I'm going to leave my cursor there. And you can also leave your cursor where you want to create your table of contents. While my cursor is on the empty space, I'm going to select references. After that, I'll click on table of contents. And here you have different styles to select from. And you can also customize your table. But even to do that, I prefer to select one of the styles, then later I'll customize. So I'm going to go with the table style 2. I'll select the 2. And you can select the style that you prefer as well. Upon selecting my preferred table, the table is automatically created, as you can see. Now, you remember the mistake we did when we selected a sentence in addition to a heading. Here, how to rectify this is to just delete the sentence in the table of contents. So I'm just going to highlight that sentence and then take it out of the table of contents. As easy as that. So now the last thing to do is to go through the work if we might have escaped a heading or we even added a new heading. Work on it and see if the table will update automatically. So I intentionally escaped this heading. So I'll come back to it, select it and select the style that I want, which is 2. Then as usual, I'll go to the font and select Times New Roman. And then under the font size, I'll select 12. When we come to the color, I'll select black, bold it. Then under paragraph, I'll select justify, which we didn't do before, which is okay. And then under the line spacing, I'll select 2. So after this, we are going back to our table of content and see if this will update in the table of contents. That is 1.7. To update the table, we click inside the table and this will appear at the top update table. We click on that. Then here we select update entire table. After that we select OK. And you can see that the 1.7 has been added. So our table has automatically been updated. However, because we updated the table, you remember the mistake we made by highlighting a sentence in addition to a heading will also update, so it has appeared again. So we quickly highlight it and delete it. So here we have our table of content and it can automatically update itself. So this is just a bonus. I'm going to highlight the table of content and place it in the middle. Go to the font and change it to Times New Roman. Select the font size. Change it to 12. Then the color to black. Bold it. Then change the sentence case to uppercase. And we are done. Thank you for watching.